Can anyone hear us now? Can you guys hear us?
Yes.
Oh, there we go. Jeez. I actually fixed something on a computer. My kids would never believe it.
I'm not sure why you don't have one over here every time.
I know. I gotta have them on speed dial. Okay, so we fixed the audio. Can you see us as well?
Just the photo of you.
Okay, well, don't complain about it. Oh, wait a minute, that didn't work. Hang on. I know. Wrong remote. There we go. Okay. I think we got everything working just fine. Thank you, everyone, for giving us that indulgence. We had some work being done today in the room and kind of messed up our computer settings, but we're back. So with that, I have 7:03. I call the May 5th meeting of the Glenville Town Board to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance and invocation. For the invocation tonight, I just ask that you take a moment to offer your own intentions silently in a moment of silence. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please call the roll.
Councilman Martin.
Here.
Councilman Aragosa.
Here.
Councilman Godlewski.
Here.
Councilwoman Wozzachowski. Here. Supervisor Pettsley.
Here, the agendas are in front of you. You can see it's a fairly normal meeting. We do have one thing we need to add at the end, and it happened late, so it's coming on late, but an executive session we'll go into at the end of this meeting, and our council will update us on a personnel matter that you've been briefed on previously, and we'll update you on where we are with that. So at the end, we will go into executive session. We'll do that after item 16, which is new business. We don't anticipate any new business after the executive session, so folks can stay on the line if they wish. We'll put you in a room quietly. We'll talk, and then we anticipate gaveling out of the meeting, not doing any further business. So if you'd like to stay, you can, but I'm not sure that's something that anyone really wants to do. So with that, we'll move to town council reports. I'll start on my left with Councilman Galuski.
Just to know that I attended the forum last Wednesday regarding the recent legislation. It was a informative session. Thanks to the supervisor for organizing that. It was certainly interesting to hear a diverse range of opinions on the matter. And as folks may or may not be aware, there's a survey on the town's website regarding essentially seeking feedback from residents on this issue. Speak for myself personally, I'm sure the rest of the board feels this way, but we love to hear from the residents on this issue and get further input on how the community feels about this topic. And then also too, one other point, I was out walking this morning over at park, and sales are very muddy. You're out, no fault of the town's, just it's April into May, and that's what comes with this time of year. But if you're heading out and you're looking to use the trails, you wear some good boots or some good shoes, and be mindful of the fact that you're going to be encountering some mud. And that's all.
Thank you, Councilman. One thing I wanted to just piggyback on the forum was you and I think folks missed it. You and I agreed on something, but I've come to learn that we were both wrong. So that tells me not to agree with Councilman Galuski again. No, I'm kidding. We were right. So the question was about can the town board call a permissive referendum? And we were both right that in town law, we can do that. But our counsel, Courtney, actually, I know, corrected me that in the actual legislation, it prohibits towns to actually do that. Villages, ironically, can, but towns cannot. So the actual legislation prohibits it. So I just wanted to clarify that for people. It would have to be by petition only. I don't know why they did that, but they did. So it was a good effort agreeing with each other, though.
Yeah.
Still very,
More of that.
that's right. Next time we'll be right.
Yeah.
Councilwoman Rosbowski.
Yes, was able to attend the town Glenville meeting, held at the end of April, and it was the first in-person meeting in over a year for that group. We've been meeting virtually, and it was really good to see them all back together. They've all been fairly busy throughout the pandemic, and just like to give them all a shout out because they do actually do quite a lot for our communities, and this past year has been difficult for them to maintain a high level of readiness with their training, with the restrictions that have been in place, and they've all managed to do a fantastic job to serve the residents.
Absolutely.
That's it.
Thank you. Councilman Martin.
Yeah, I attended a meeting with like Glenville Design Corporation last week, and they were giving an update on the status of the emergency loan fund that was established with the shutdown in reaction to the pandemic. And it was really a very enlightening story and very encouraging. There were 13 loans made for $176,000. And none of the businesses are in default. As you may recall, we had a 1-year forgiveness on the repayment as part of that program. And that, some of the businesses are actually starting to pay the loans back. And there were a number of comments made as the LDC members were going out into the community, following up on the status of the loans. A number of businesses commented that had it not been for that program, they would have went under. And I don't know if Steve Williams is on our list there tonight or a reporter from the Gazette, but I sincerely hope that the Gazette would get out and do some investigative reporting on this program and the effect it had in the small business community. It is really a good story, one we could all use, and it was very enlightening and very much a positive. And it's good to hear that it had that kind of intended impact, or as intended, it did have that impact, and that was very good to hear. So I'm pleased to report on that, and even more pleased to report that these businesses are making it through, and the program did help.
Thank you. Councilman Aragos.
Just to say that last Wednesday night when you were holding your forum, I unfortunately wasn't able to get here. We did do a food distribution in the park by 7:30 that night. I was soaked. I do appreciate you sending out your PowerPoint presentation. It was very helpful. And thank you for that. And just the report on the food distribution it went very well. A lot of volunteers and a lot of people out there in line waiting for us to put food in their trunks again. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm sorry. Just hold on just a moment. Can you read that to yourself and let me know how you want to proceed? We just got something from the Gazette regarding executive session, so I'm going to have the council read that and decide how he wants to respond. Normally the phone is off, but it was on, so I was able to hear the text, so that was good. I think she's saying there needs to be a particular language. Okay, so there needs to be specific wording that we're going to look into regarding personnel matters on what topics and what would be. Council will be looking into that as we proceed with this very interesting public hearing we're about to hold. So we'll move on to the public hearing. So we're on to item number 5, which is a public hearing to hear anyone interested in proposed amendments to the uses permitted and dimensional regulations by district. The chapters are and verses there are listed. I will open the public hearing. There's no one in the room, so we'll go right to the folks on the webinar. If anyone wishes to be heard on that, raise your virtual hand. We'll open your mic. You'll have to open your mic, and then you can speak on it. And I'll call on Councilman Martin as soon as it's open to explain this public hearing again. So public hearing is now open regarding uses permitted and dimensional regulations by district. And I don't know, Councilman Martin.
Yeah, what this is one of the links in closing the loop on our establishment of large-scale solar farms is an allowed use in our zoning code. It is an allowed use in the highway commercial, the research development technology district, and the riverfront recreation commercial district, and the airport zoning district. It's that simple. It's inserting that as a use as allowed under a conditional use permit. So that is what is being done.
Excellent. So with that, do we have anyone interested on the line? Again, there's no one in the room other than staff, but anyone wishing to be heard on that matter? Yeah, I guess not. I don't think the comptroller cares about dimensional regulations right now. Going once, going twice. Seeing none, the public hearing is now closed. Now move to privilege of the floor. Again, anyone on the webinar who'd like to be heard at privilege of the floor is now open. Raise your virtual hand if so. We will then open your microphone and you will open yours so we can hear you and you can speak on any matter before the town. This is privilege of the floor. Going once, going twice. Seeing none, that is now closed. Supervisors' comments to the board. I do not have comments to the board tonight, so we'll move on to our resolutions. And with that, we'll go to resolution 8, which is scheduling another public hearing for Wednesday, May 19th regarding a PDD that is proposed at 66 Freeman's Bridge Road. Do I have a motion?
I'll move it.
Do I have a second? Moved and seconded. Any discussion?
Yeah, so Supervisor, this is the resolution setting a public hearing for 2 weeks from tonight, Wednesday, May 19th at 7 p.m. in this room, and I believe it'll probably be available virtually as well. And that is for establishment of a planned development district that is essentially going to allow one of the aforementioned large commercial solar projects on Freeman's Bridge Road. Specifically, it's a 42-acre site, tax map parcel 30.-1-3. And it's, I believe this is the one that is on the, if I'm not mistaken, it's on the eastern side of the road, is that correct?
Yes.
Well, just behind Lowe's, so to speak.
No, the eastern side,
I'm sorry.
the old Saranowski,
Sanowski
Sanowski.
property
yeah.
For people locally.
Yes, seed.
Yep.
Goes by many names.
Yep. So that's the area that this is intended to go on, and it is providing for of the 42 acres, 4 acres will be available as future development area for commercial use, predominantly along the road frontage, and then the most of the area to the back is where the payload would be located. It's just where it would be.
Okay, just to add to that, I know it's just calling for a public hearing. This PDD allows for a few things. I did get some calls from folks because it's also going through the planning board. The PDD calls for a shovel-ready clean site. So that means that everything on that site has to be cleaned up and ready for development. We believe the economics of the site, because there are wetlands in the back, it is a 100-foot frontage site. It could be considered a flag lot or a key lot, that this would help the economics of the redevelopment, and getting it shovel ready in particular would be the case. It does call for a bond that is equivalent to 3 years of property taxes. So in the case that the developer does not meet their obligations of redevelopment, that bond would be cashed, that performance bond would be cashed, and the town would at least have that revenue. It also calls for the $161,000 in our Solar for Parks program, so that will go into the Parks Fund. It also has a decommissioning component, which is extremely important. It won't sit as a ghost site after the life of the farm, and significant buffering in the PDD. So I wanted that all out there because, again, just getting some questions on it, and so people understand that correctly. So this is, again, calling for that public hearing. We have a motion, we have a second, we had discussion. Any other discussion?
Yeah, just to say that the project is, between the GECC, the planning department, the town supervisor's office, we really worked very hard on making sure that this project is something that's not going to be adversely affected to the people that are driving up and down Freeman's Ridge Road on a daily basis. Basically, if you're not flying over it, you won't even see it. And if you do see it, we want to know you see it so we can make sure that there's additional buffer put in place. But let's get through this part of it, which is to plan a public hearing. Let's have the public hearing, hear what people have to say about it, and let's move this thing forward. It's really a good thing, both financially and conceptually with this particular property. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments?
Just to echo your sentiments, obviously, I'm eager to hear what the public has to say about the project, but certainly conceptually, the project presents as a good project for the town.
Yeah, it's noteworthy that the DECC has recommended a negative declaration from a seeker point of view.
Thank you. Anything else? Seeing none, please call the vote.
Councilman Martin?
Yes.
Councilman Aragosa?
Yes.
Councilman Godlewski?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wozzachowski? Yes. Supervisor Pettsley?
Yes, resolution passes. Next resolution, calling a public hearing for the same night, May 19th, regarding proposed zone changes for addition to the zoning map. Do I have a motion?
I'll move it.
Do I have a second? Moved and seconded.
Yes, Mr. Supervisor, this is setting yet another public hearing on a change to the zoning map. The public hearing is for next Wednesday evening again, Wednesday, May 19th, here in this room. And it is, I believe, for yet another major solar project. This is the one on the other side of the road. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah, so this is the one that is essentially behind Lowe's in that area. So this will be
Yes.
a concentration of two major solar projects in this area of the town. And I think the reason for that is basically for the limited number of connection points we have in the community where these types of projects can connect into the grid. So that's the reason why we're seeing them in these concentrated areas. And as a practical matter, I think this is two of just several we have in the entire community, and we're going to be pretty much played out. So,
Yes.
but that's what this is about. And again, I should mention, as with the prior project, the Glenville Environmental Committee reviewed this as well and is also recommending a negative declaration for secret purposes.
Yes. Anything else? Okay, seeing none, please record the vote.
Councilman Martin?
Yes.
Councilman Aravgosa?
Yes.
Councilman Goodlucci?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wozzowski?
Yes.
Supervisor Capson?
Yes, resolution passes. Next, resolution 10, stating that the records for the Town Justice Court are complete from January 1st, 2020, December 31st, 2020. Do I have a motion?
I'll move
Have
it.
a second.
I'll second.
Moved in second. Any discussion?
Mr. Supervisor, this resolution, as you said, would accept the audit of the report and by the town of Glenville Town Court, and in terms of the fines collected by the Town Justice Court during the calendar year 2020 have been turned over to the proper officials as required by law, and that a copy would also, for this resolution with the audit report, be also filed with New York State OCA. I just would like to say thank you to our court clerks. It's been a very challenging year for them. They're facing an enormous backlog of cases and need to come before the court, and it's been very challenging for them. And I would just like to make sure they are recognized as qualified judges, of course, but the court clerks are the ones who do the bulk of the work, and they've had to adapt to some difficult circumstances. So I would just like to thank them for that.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, please record the vote.
Councilman Martin?
Yes.
Councilman Aravgosa?
Yes.
Councilman Goodlucci?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wozzowski?
Yes.
Supervisor Capson?
Yes, resolution passes. Next, resolution 11-10, authorizing the purchase of a Power Master slide gate. Do I have a motion?
I'll move
Have
it.
a second.
I'll second.
Moved in second. Any discussion?
Mr. Supervisor, the Commissioner of Public Works has informed the town board that the commercial slide gate of the town's on the water treatment plant that needs replacement. The slide gate is necessary to maintain the plant as a secure facility for obvious reasons. We went out for bid to get quotes from 3 vendors for the procurement of a Power Master slide gate operator unit, which meets the specs as set forth by the town. Precision Gate and Fence of Clifton Park is the lowest responsible bidder with a quote of $6,540. Funding for this purchase was included within the 2021 adopted budget. So should this resolution pass, the Commissioner of Public Works will be authorized to purchase 1 Power Master Gate operator unit from Precision Gate Fence LLC, Clifton Park, New York, at a total cost of $6,540, with said expense charged to the appropriate account within the 2021 adopted budget.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, please record the vote.
Councilman Martin?
Yes.
Councilman Aravgosa?
Yes.
Councilman Goodlucci?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wozzowski?
Yes.
Yes, resolution passes. Next, resolution 12, adopting local law 10 regarding amending Article 5, uses permitted and dimensional regulations by district. Do I have a motion?
I'll move it.
Have a second. Moved in second. Any discussion?
Yes, Mr. Supervisor, this enacts the changes to the code that we just had the public hearing on and closed it for insertion of large-scale solar farms, as I said, in the highway commercial district, in the research development technology district, riverfront recreation commercial district, and the airport zoning district.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, please record the vote.
Councilman Martin?
Yes.
Councilman Aravgosa?
Yes.
Councilman Goodluci?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wozzowski?
Yes.
Supervisor Capson?
Yes, resolution passes. Next, resolution 13, authorizing the supervisor to execute a state agreement with the Freeman's Bridge Road Multi-Use Path Project under State Transportation Improvement Program. Do I have a motion?
I'll move
Do
it.
I have a second?
Second.
Moved in second. Any discussion?
Yes, Mr. Supervisor, this resolution provides funding in the sum of $284,000 for the design of the multi-use path along Freeman's Bridge Road. And as a particular note, this is eligible for 80% funding, federal funding, and then 20% non-federal funds. This commits the entire amount in the 100%, and I believe the 80% then is a reimbursement back to the town.
Correct.
So, that's what this does. And it gets that multi-use path as previously planned for along Freeman Bridge Road. It gets that project underway, at least from a design standpoint.
Yes, and if you remember the project, somewhere about 1.8 to $2 million, the whole project is reimbursable 80%.
Yes.
Yes.
So what we're doing is we're putting the money out front and then we'll get it back when the project is.
Yes.
Right.
80% of it.
Yeah, at least that.
80%.
At least that, because remember I talked about that prior state fund, I couldn't
Yep.
remember, it's in the resolution, the Marcicelli Fund.
Yes.
That's named on behalf of Senator Marcicelli.
Yep.
Who provided a funding stream for these types of capital projects. I think it provides an additional 10%, so our share could be as little as 10%, I believe.
Great.
That's how we're going to fund the roundabout someday, right?
That's right.
Sure.
We'll get there.
I have to say, this is very exciting. When we
No, it is
started out-
very, it is. In all seriousness.
Started out talking about Freeman's Bridge Road, and how much it was gonna cost to do everything, and we had the presentations, and I thought, oh my God, how are we even ever gonna afford to pay for this? And, I would just like to thank Melissa and the staff in the planning department, because really, they're the ones who have figured out how we're gonna start paying for this. This is gonna be transformative for that corridor, and this is a start of a vision that will benefit the town for years and years and years to come. So, Melissa, I know you're on the line. Thank you for all of your hard work. You really have just, ever since you've come, you've really just knocked it out of the park on everything you do. And I just want you to know, I really appreciate it, because I know that you're part of the driving force behind a lot of the stuff that happens in the planning and all of that. So,
It's
thank
gonna
you.
be
Thank you.
a drastically different looking corridor than it is
It
today.
is, I
And when
mean,
the railroad crossing is rebuilt and the pathways installed, it's gonna be
it's transformative. It's gonna be great.
We worked very hard on Freeman's Bridge Road, but it's not an above. It's important to know as well. This is a major connection that is going to continue connection. So this will connect not only into Schenectady over the bridge, and where we had to go down, Kevin Corcoran and myself at that time, to DOT and fight for a pedestrian path over the bridge to connect Schenectady and Glenville. This will now connect into Maxon Road, will connect into the development over at the casino.
Yeah.
We also have money, as you know, connecting the hike bike trail from Freeman's to Shawnee, so we'll connect into Scotia. We're connecting 3 communities with pedestrian paths right here. And we're connecting all the way up to Dutch Meadows, which when that project starts in the next 30 to 60 days, they also will be putting sidewalks in between Route 50 and Freeman's Bridge Road. So the further connecting into now neighborhoods on the other side of 50 potentially into Freeman's, and it's just starting to come together. And I remember vividly 12 years ago when we started, the criticism that came that you're building sidewalks. Funny, isn't this funny? Well, the sidewalks are connecting. They're connecting neighborhoods, they're connecting businesses, they're connecting parks, they're connecting people. And I think it's just a huge step forward where we are right now. And I'm proud of the effort that the staff and the boards and the committees have put into this. And we're looking forward to this getting done. And let's not forget the connections of the Safeway to schools. All 3 of those are going forward as well. And that was a huge win for us as well. So anything else? Seeing none, please record the vote.
Councilman Martin?
Yes.
Councilman Aragosa?
Yes.
Councilman Godlewski?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wozzachowski?
Yes.
Supervisor Capel?
Yes, resolution passes. Next, resolution 14, approving the 2021 budget amendments. Do I have a motion?
I'll move it.
We have a second. Moved and seconded. As you all know, we go through budget amendments periodically now. We used to do one big major thing at the end of the year, but we do this now as they're needed. The comptroller is here, but we'll go through just some quickies. I know that some of you may have some questions, so let me know if you do. But some of the bigger ones, the larger ones, basically, for example, in the B fund, the police accrued time cash out by 188,000 is obviously to cover folks that have retired. And that's what that money is there for. So that is being transferred into that fund. And then you can see the decrease in the appropriation that matches that in the B fund just below. CHIPS, as you can see, we're getting ready to do our paving. We opened the bids on paving. We had a better than expected, I would say better than expected result. We had like 5 or 6 bids, maybe 7. 2 came in with $160 of each other. I thought that was interesting, but we're doing better on our bidding right now. And so that will take care of getting funding done for those paving projects. And then we have a bunch of inter-fund transfers. As you know, we move a lot in line with our fund balance policy into things like debt reserve, capital reserve. We have a Yates Mansion project that was approved in the budget, Melwick Park, which was approved in the budget. And then we have capital reserves, debt reserves in the A fund, the B fund. And then as you see, I just made reference to safe routes to schools. That fund will help with that project expense, which was approved again in the budget. And then what we just talked about, the Freeman's Bridge Road multi-use path for expenditure. So
there's something I want to emphasize in this, and I talk about this all the time, and that is the idea of funds being moved from capital reserve accounts into expenditure accounts. And I think that's important to note. We're paying for things out of things we save for to purposely do. We're
correct.
not incurring more debt to take on these projects. Like the trail project that was just enacted, or the funds for the design, that's coming out of a capital reserve. It's not coming out of debt. You know, the safe routes to schools is coming out of capital reserve. It's not coming into debt. And I just want to emphasize it's very, very important. And that's what makes a difference.
And I want to take a minute just to thank you, Jim. I know you were a big proponent early on, Gina remembers this, of creating these debt reserve and capital reserve accounts to make sure we did these things. The town never had these accounts up until we enacted them. And so I think it was a very prudent budget move for us. And it's obviously put us in position to start making investments in the community and our infrastructure and in all our parks and everything else. So thank you. And I want to thank you guys for your leadership as well. Anything else on that? Seeing none, please record the vote.
Councilman Martin?
Yes.
Councilman Aragosa? Councilman Godlewski?
Yes.
Councilwoman Mansell? Yes. Supervisor Pettsley?
Yes, resolution passes. Next, resolution 15, authorizing the minutes for the regular town board meeting, April 21st. Do I have a motion?
I'll move it.
Do I have a second? Moved in second. Any discussion?
Yes, Mr. Supervisor, this is for the April 1st town board meeting. We distributed the email, together for us.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, please record the vote.
Councilman Martin?
Yes.
Councilman Aragosa?
Yes.
Councilman Godlewski?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wozzowski? Supervisor Pettsley?
Yes, resolution passes. I'll go on to new business, which is item number 16, and then we'll take up. First, we'll start on my left with Councilman Godlewski.
Just to wish all of the moms on the line and as well as Councilman Wozzowski and
Oh, what a kiss up.
and my wife.
Yeah.
Along those lines.
She's on the line. She's on the line.
You can bring my cousin.
Councilwoman Rosabowski.
Happy Cinco de Mayo.
Thank you.
And yesterday was Star Wars Day, so I look forward to being with you.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
And happy Mother's Day to all.
Thank you. Councilman Merritt.
Yes, I'll echo the other comments about Happy Mother's Day, and go out and get vaccinated.
Councilman Aragosa.
So you can see your mom.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I have no other business other than a happy Mother's Day to all, as has been repeated here. And on the executive session, I do have the proper language here, and I want to apologize to our council here. I know I pulled a last minute change up where this item, I think the board needed to hear before 2 weeks from now. And so it wasn't initially planned. I didn't initially run it through council. And so I didn't have the proper wording here, and I apologize to both of you for that, but I do feel like this matter needs to be discussed 2 weeks from now. And it did occur to me late, so I'm sorry. But the wording should satisfy all, is that we will be moving to executive session regarding a personnel matter to discuss the employment of a particular person in the highway department. Do I have a motion?
I'll move
Do
it.
I have a second? Moved and seconded. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? We're in executive session, and so for the folks on the line, I'm going to mute, take you out. We don't anticipate any further business at all after this executive session. So you're free to stay, but we're only going to come back and say we're definitely not. So executive session. Thank you. Now, hold on, let me. Yeah, well, we gotta wait till I get back here. Hang on. Hello, everybody nobody's there. We're back, and so now we are out of executive session. I'll take a motion to adjourn. Do I have a motion?
I'll move it.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Moved in second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We're adjourned. Thank you.